My name is Ali Abdulkerim. I was born here in America on May 17, 1950. I was born in a place where they call Brooklyn, and in the Red Hook section of Brooklyn, or South Brooklyn, in the projects, in Red Hook projects. I was born, my mother her name was Caine. She's passed. Her name was Caine Lewis, and my father was James Lewis.
What they were, business, and where did you born, you said?
I was born in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. When you were a kid, what do you remember from Brooklyn? Which kind of lifestyle, morality, or goodness, badness? Right. And what was your religion, your father, mother?
Right. Well, I was born in the year of 1950, and then what I can remember in those many years, born where they were the first projects that were built during that time, and there was a mixture. My parents moved in there basically after World War II. They lived in that area in 1945. They migrated from the South, from South Carolina. Both my mother and father were born in South Carolina, and they migrated to New York in the 40s. And from there, they moved to the projects, what they were called projects at that time. And the projects was consist of all different nationalities, but mostly primarily they were white in the area, and they were like almost the first black families that moved in that area. And that was in the 40s, and then I was born in the 50s. And as I remember my childhood, I had a very fun childhood, in terms of the projects. We had a lot of activities. It was very mixed at the time. As time went on, it became predominantly African American and Spanish or Latino, in that sense. So I had all different types of friends during that time, But as I remember, we had really a fun time. My family were Christians, right, and they were very devout Christians at the time, and we would go to church every Sunday. My family, my mother and father almost went to church almost every day, in that sense. One thing I can say is that outside of the Christian belief, they had extremely morals. They were very ethical, principled. They were very. They had integrity. They were very dignified. Families, or parents, and they taught me very well in that sense, moral principles and things of that nature, So that's basically my childhood, and I had friends, we had friends, and we did, a whole day of activities, sports and swimming and little other hobbies that we have developed, so it's very, very controlled atmosphere, and very, very decent, innocent, activities and so forth, and
what you were doing in the church? Feel that we are ignorant, you express deeply. What you were doing, what the people, when they went to church, what they were doing.
Right. In church, you had, like, on Sundays, that from the morning to the evening, there was church activities. Had what they call Sunday school. Where you would go and then you learn certain things. Depends on what grade you were in the Sunday school. You would learn things about Christianity. The main focus in Christianity is based on Jesus, and we would learn the study of the Bible, certain stories in the Bible, and we would deal with situations where after Sunday school, then there were what they call the morning service, and in the morning service, that's when the preacher and the pastor gets up, like in Islam, the imam gives the khutbah, and there the pastor gives the sermon, for about maybe 2 hours, hour and a half, or whatever case is from that point. And then afterwards, primarily, in terms of the church, was made up of my family. I had my cousins, my aunts and uncles, were the predominantly congregants in the church. So after the morning service, then we would go to eat You know, my families would get together. That's how we did. You know, every Sunday, you know, we would go to one of my aunt's house, and you know, and the family would come together, and they would, you know, they would have the Sunday meal and so forth. You know, so that's basically what I remembered in the church that I went to.
Bad or good memories from that period, from church or school or?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you know why? Because I had very strict parents, you know, that didn't allow me to just do anything, and very moral parents, you know, and you know, but at the same time, you know, it didn't hinder me from having fun that any normal, you know, teenage young child, you know, male or female would have, you know. So I had, you know, I have very good, strong, positive view of my childhood at some point in my life, you know, and I don't have anything negative to say about my mother and father. They were there. You know, they were working, they took care of us. My father was in my life, my mother was in my life, you know, they were family oriented because they came from a big family. My mother came from a big family, you know, and my father came from a big family, and we all, you know, I had gobs of cousins and aunts and uncles, you know, so we were and to this very day, you know, as a Muslim, I still go visit my family, even though they're not Muslim, but that's what Allah's without. That's part of the Sunnah, to keep ties with, you know, relationships. So that's what I was taught, and then Islam just refined my outlook on these things.
So let's go to your primary, secondary, and high school. Which schools did you finish on?
Right, I went from elementary school up into high school, and I did about 2 years in college, right? And you know, during that time, you know, the segregation was real heavy. It was existing then, you know, where the schools were segregated in the South. But surprising to a lot of people that although the South was segregated, the North was segregated in some manner also. So what they did was, when they segregated the schools in the South, they when they integrated the schools in the South, they integrated the schools in the North, because the schools in the North also, and this, you're talking New York, New York City, you know, were segregated. In certain parts of New York, you know, a large part of the schools were segregated. So they integrated. So what they had was, they had busing, you know, where they would bus African Americans and what they say minorities from the neighborhood to predominantly white neighborhoods. And then what happens is that the people, the neighborhood people the schools that we went to, was against busing. They were against African Americans being in their community, and we're talking New York. We're not talking South Carolina. We're not talking Georgia or Alabama. We're talking New York. So I experienced that in my elementary level. I was bussed out when I up into the grade of the fourth grade. When I went into fourth grade, that's when I was bussed out. So we had no idea. You know, I mean, it's not like I didn't live among Caucasians or white people. And we did. We grew up with them. I grew up with them. I had friends, so forth. But when we were integrated in these areas, it was like being in the South. Parents, you know, were totally against, dead set against, you know, African Americans coming to their communities. You know, so they would call us all kind of names, you know, and they would throw eggs at the buses and so forth. But you know, we were determined to go to those schools, and that's elementary school. And then I went to junior high school in the same area, and this area is called in Brooklyn called Bensonhurst. You know, Bensonhurst at that time was predominantly Italian and Jewish. You know, and we had big problems. And then when I went to junior high school in the same vicinity, the same district, I had problems there too. We had to fight. You know, they used to attack us because we were black, and we went in their schools, yeah, and you know, and we fought. You know, we defended ourselves, and at some point, you know, it it's what we call mellowed out. It deceased. And then I went to high school. I went to the junior high school was called Montauk Junior High School, and then I went to FDR, what they call Franklin Delano Roosevelt. First time it was built in the 60s. It was the first. It only had 2 grades when I went there. It was spanking brand new, and they just had built it. and the grades had to evolve into a higher grade. So we had 2 grades, the 9th grade and the 10th grade. You know, I was in the 9th grade at the time. Same thing happened then. The whites did not want us in their neighborhood, and we wound up having to defend ourselves. We were being attacked, and we defended ourselves. And then when I got to the high school level, when I got to the 12th grade, things pretty much mellowed out. Pretty much we were at peace, and then it was just a thing that we started getting along with each other in that sense, you know. And then I went to college, Brooklyn College, you know, for 2 years. We had a problem there. It wasn't a problem of them not wanting us in the neighborhood, but there was a problem with a Jewish organization called the Jewish Defense League, and they took over the student center one time, and there was a problem that arose from that, and again things mellowed out from that point. And I just did 2 years in Brooklyn College, and then I left, and then I went into the what they call the security profession, you know, and I worked as a security officer, security guard at that point, and then from that point afterwards, a few years afterwards, you know, I went into my own business. I went into the security business, and not only then I ventured out into a private investigator. So I'm a licensed private investigator for New York. I have my own company, you know, in New York.